Hey guys, Moose here with Moving to Houston, and in this video I'm going to break down the two questions that we get frequently, and they are: what part of Houston floods the most? And secondly, does Houston have flood-free zones or flood-free neighborhoods? Now, there is no such thing as a subdivision or a neighborhood that does not flood. For example, it wouldn't be right to say that, hey, Katy does not flood, or Richmond does not flood, or Spring does not flood. But the reality is that there are parts of Katy, there are parts of Richmond, there are parts of Spring that are prone to flooding. Okay, so the key to understanding is not, it's going to be a horrible endeavor if you just went and try to figure out which subdivision and what section of those subdivisions flooded and they don't flood. But like I said, the key, and to make things a lot simple and easier, would be for you to understand where the water highways, as I call it, where they are located. So what do I mean by that? Now, just like we have highways that transport people and cars from one part of town to another part of town, right? I like to think of those the waterways as water highways. These are routes that the water takes every time there's massive rain, or whenever there's a big flood event or hurricanes and whatnot. So the key for you would be to understanding where those water highways are located, because essentially that's the route that the water is going to take. Okay, and for you to know how to avoid them, or parts of them, because there's going to be subdivisions that you may want to live in it, but you definitely want to avoid the section where the water cuts through, if that makes sense. So let me kind of help you out here, how to identify it. So if you're going to be going on Google Maps, for instance, you want to pay attention to two colors. One, it's going to be your blue color right here. So this is water, and as you can see, there's this channel that cuts through it. This is what we call the Buffalo Bayou. Okay, it cuts through downtown Houston, and which means water actually comes from west, cuts through here, and then eventually it gets dumped in Trinity Bay or Galveston Bay. So there's going to be channels, there's going to be webbings where the water kind of cuts through and gets dumped over here from all different directions, and all the water, by the way, is going to be flowing south and getting dumped right here. Okay, so pay attention to all the blue colors. You don't want to be there. There's going to be bayou. There's going to be also some creeks, for example, like right here. You can see that, right? So this is the White Oak Bayou. There's going to be like this one right here. So this is for all the subdivisions that are built here, all the water cuts through here, and again, it just gets dumped down south. So blue color is one thing, and then the heavy green patches, those are always going to be some indications. So for example, like right here, this is the Addicks Reservoir. This is a natural area. Nothing is allowed to be built on it. This is just plain old ground that is designed to hold off the water in case of heavy rain, so that essentially the water gets, these are man-made dams, by the way. The water gets released in a controlled manner. So again, downtown Houston doesn't get flooded, or all the areas that are in between, they don't get flooded. And like this part of town was built by the Army Corps of Engineers, by the way, and they do have, just think of it as a dam, like I mentioned, to kind of protect the city from flooding. But I, actually have a tool that I like to use to kind of understand whenever we're looking at properties to see whether or not they're in flood zone. But again, this is, don't want to talk about tools, but again, I want to bring your attention again to what I was saying earlier, is once you understand the waterways or the water highways, where they're located, it's all this blue, again, this is part of the Buffalo Bayou that I was showing you earlier, and some of the creeks that cut through some of these neighborhoods. Once you have an understanding, then it becomes a lot easier for you to say, okay, I definitely don't want to be in that part of town, right? Or we don't want to be close to, all these creeks or all these channels. So the Addicks reservoirs, which I was showing you earlier, you don't want to be close to it, okay? Because again, there's going to be neighborhoods that are going to flood, or that have flooded in the past, and the chance of flooding is again very high, very likely they're going to happen again. So if you are like me, you don't want to mess with Mother Nature or deal with flooding, wet carpet, all that stuff, just stay away. So where should you consider then? Well, lucky for you, Houston has a lot of these orange areas, okay? Orange is good. Orange means it's out of the flood hazard area, high and dry land. It's not going to flood, so you're going to be just fine. What you want to avoid is going to be the yellow areas, which you see some, but not a whole lot of. But definitely avoid anything that's going to be in blue. So again, one of the areas, for example, that's popular, a lot of you guys may have heard of Katy, right? So Katy, Texas, which is like right here. And then within Katy, there's a neighborhood called Cinco Ranch, right? Like right here. Now, Cinco Ranch, great schools, great neighborhood, beautiful houses. But there's parts of Cinco Ranch, like right down here, that are prone to flooding. Not necessarily here, although orange is good, like I mentioned earlier, but you definitely don't want to be in this part of Cinco Ranch. So if somebody says Cinco Ranch is safe, well, no, not all of Cinco Ranch is safe, right? So you really want to be pay closer attention to that. Or somebody says, Richmond is safe. Well, not really. So example, like this is old Richmond, and this is like the newish part of Richmond. But again, you can see that, these homes, they're safe, but there are a few houses that are on the market right now that are not going to be your safest bet. So again, there is no such thing as neighborhoods that are completely safe or neighborhoods that are completely, horrible. They are in flood zone. There is no such thing as that. But again, you want to kind of understand where the channels are, where these bodies of water are, and you want to be away from them, as much away from them as possible. I hope that I've been able to answer some of these questions, but if you have any specific questions and you would like to learn more, by all means, feel free to text us, call us, email us, or schedule on the link below that's in the description. If you just want to have a 15-minute chat on Zoom, I would be more than happy to discuss those with you. Until then, take care. Have a wonderful day.